Hi, I'm Daniel Edwards, a licensed marital and family therapist. And I want to talk to you today about when you're working too much and your spouse calls you on it. So it's been a couple of weeks now, and my wife, I came home on a Friday after a long week, and she, we do our normal greeting, and then she goes, "Hey babe, do you realize how much you worked this week?" Same as normal, right? I mean, what are you talking about? And she goes, "Yeah, you might want to check that." So I did what every normal, loving husband does, right? I begrudgingly go back to my schedule, look at how much I actually worked that week, and lo and behold, she was absolutely correct. I had worked way more hours than I was supposed to. I had already gotten into that tunnel vision of thinking of work, and that was all that was on my mind. Now, at times this is important and we need to do this, but my wife also understands that I value family above almost anything else, and she knew that if I continued in my tunnel vision, I was going to miss out on what I value, my family, and spending time and connecting with them. So normally what happens when I have a problem, most men go in their head, and so they think, all right, I have a problem. Okay, what's my solution? I can do A, B, C, D, E, and so on. And they make this big list, and they go, okay, I'm going to try A, because I think that's one that's going to give me the most results. And so they try it, and if it works, great, they tell everybody about it. If it doesn't work, they go to the next one that they think is going to work the best, and they try it until they get it right, and then they tell everybody about it. And that's the way I think. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she thinks a little differently, which isn't bad. It's good. It's the way she thinks differently. And so when she has a problem or needs to come up with a solution to something, she doesn't go in her head and close things off and think inside her head. She likes to talk about it. And so early on in our relationship, we had a lot of problems with this because she would have a problem, she was needing to process it and talk about it, and I would give her solutions. Oh, well, you just do this to fix it. Oh, you just do that. And what happens is that I was preventing her. I was hurting her in being able to process and problem solve for herself. So what I've since learned is she needs to talk about it. She needs a couple of things from me. One is to listen. Two is to ask questions that kind of show that I'm interested and I'm listening to her, but doesn't make her feel like she's not capable of solving the problem on her own. So going back to the incident of I'm working too much, right? So I know I have a problem. I go ahead and do the whole thing like I normally do, except for this time I said, I'm going to try something different. And so I waited about a week, and I went to my wife and I said, "Hey babe, you got a minute?" And she was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I said, "So I've got this thought. I want to talk to you a little bit about it." And she was like, "Okay, what is it?" I said, "So here's the deal. I'm thinking about when you told me about working too much. And I know that the reason why you told me that was because you know how much I value friendship, or I think that the reason why you're doing this is because I value family so much. And so you're really wanting to protect me, and I appreciate that and I value that so much. So I wanted to kind of run some ideas by you of things that I possibly could do to see if I could help fix this." She goes, "Okay, sure. What is it?" So I tell her my plan, tell her a couple of different options. She gives me feedback, really good feedback, does throw out a couple of points that I hadn't thought about. And I was like, okay, cool. So then she goes, "Hey, I've got one follow-up question." I was like, "Okay, what?" And she says, "How long do you think this will take?" And I said, "Well, if we need a timeline, like I think I could do it in about a month. Would that be okay?" She says, "Sure, that would be fine. I think that sounds about doable. I think that's right. But if it's going to take longer than that, when you realize it's going to take longer, could you go ahead and tell me that?" Now, normally, like in the past, I'd just say a timeline and I'd never check in with her. I'd never update her on this. Well, that's not going to help her because she's still in her head going on the current timeline. So I said, "Sure, no problem, babe." So then about another week later, I went to her and I said, "Hey, babe, I got a question. So I wanted to see how it felt for you when me and you were talking about my options or my thoughts on solving the problem of me working too much." And she started laughing, and she goes, "I know, you had already made up your decision. You had already made up your mind." I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "But let me tell you this. I appreciated it so much that you you tried to make me feel like a part of the process. And she goes, and I know you heard me because you did change some things in your plan. And that was really good. So by us talking about this, we connected on a deeper level. Something that maybe in our past 4, 5, 3, 9 years ago in our relationship would have been, oh my goodness, like a big, huge blow up because I got offended that she told me I'm working too much. And in my head, I'm like, well, I'm working to provide for the family. What are you talking about? What, you don't want me at work? Well, how are we going to afford the things that we need to afford? And that would have been my instinct. But I've learned, because we've worked on our relationship by connecting as friends, by listening to one another, by me trying to understand her point of view and her trying to understand from my point of view, we've learned that there's usually a reason why we're saying or doing the things that we're doing. And it's usually from our perspective or our point of view to help the entire or to help the other person. If this helps you, please like, share, and follow to receive more ideas to help your family and relationships. And for more information, go to danieledwardscounseling.com and let's connect.